Old equipment, old people.
Yeah, old people.
Yeah.
You know, I've never done it before. He can't remember what he did last week, so. It's like baking cookies, but with wrenches. Welcome to Keeper of the Mountain. You know, I'm always saying that I'll, do a little every day because a lot of littles make a big. Well, this is one of those days where all the littles add up and turn into something big. So I think you're going to enjoy what I'm doing today. Today I'm going to be going over to Al from Hillbilly Way's shop, and we're going to be doing some powder coating. It's going to be very nice, but first I've got to prep the metal. 90% of any project is in the prep work. You got to get everything clean and smooth and pretty before you make it really pretty. So otherwise, all those little imperfections from underneath kind of shine right through and telegraph out, and they just give you a second-rate project. So I've got a little cleaning and polishing to do on a couple parts, and then I'm going to head over to Al's, over to my Hillbilly Ways, and we're going to powder coat these parts. It's a 3-step process, and I think you're going to enjoy it. So let's get busy and do our little for today that adds up to a lot of big. Pretty clean. That's the part I got to powder coat. Yeah, that ought to do the job. Well, here we are over at Al's. We're gonna, see if we can make this work. It's been, kind of a, iffy kind of thing, because we're working with really old equipment.
Old equipment, old people.
Yeah, old people.
Yeah.
I've never done it before. He can't remember what he did last week, so let's see how this flies. Let's see if we can get this working. I'm working with some metals that he hasn't worked with before. We've got the dashboard and the timing cover are made out of pot metal.
Yeah, and like I said, I've never used pot metal. I've always just done iron.
Yeah.
So there may be an issue there.
Yeah, we don't know, because pot metal's not a very good metal, so we don't know what we're going to discover. So why don't you come along with us? We're going to figure this out. We're going to stumble through it. We'll probably make a mess. But you know what? This is how we learn. This is how things happen. And you may just learn what not to do.
Right. And maybe we'll learn what we should do, but you never know.
But will we do it once we learn it? That's the question.
Okay.
Well, let's give it a shot.
Yep. Let's go. You want a mask?
Is it recommended?
Everything is recommended from California, but I don't use one.
Oh, then let's not worry about it. Okay.
If we were doing so much that it was going to fill the room, then
So we are going to wipe everything down with acetone. Like I've said earlier, this, prep work is probably 95% of the project. You don't want anything to be dirty, because if it is, and by dirty I don't necessarily mean covered with mud, but just fingerprints.
Skin has oil in it.
Right. Yeah, you're like Al says there, you got fingerprints that have oils and stuff, and it'll all cause things not to work right. So I have touched this everywhere. I'm wearing gloves not only to protect myself from the acetone, but to protect the part from me, because, these guys are all dirty. So if you need to tape anything off where you don't want it to, powder coat on your part, well then you take this tape and you make sure it's warm enough. I'm not sure what warm enough is, but it's got to be warmer than it is here, and it's a little bit on the chilly side, so this tape doesn't stick in the cold, so probably should be around 70 degrees or so.
And also the part should be warm that it's sticking to.
Right. So in our situation, the tape's not sticking, and there's nothing really super critical here for getting powder coating, keeping the powder coating off something, so we're just going to fly with it. It's going to be good.
Try coating the pulley up there first.
We've got the machine turned on.
Do now. Good call. We have for pressure.
Around about 2 pounds.
Somewhere in there.
Right, let's see what we got here.
Make sure we got juice. We do.
Yeah. It's like baking cookies, but with wrenches. All right, let's take a look at the cookies here. Oh yeah, nice. I'm going to go ahead and turn this off and leave the oven open. Now, I'm going to let this cool down. Now that one is smoking back there, not because we're burning the chrome plating, but because it has oil on the inside I didn't clean out of it. I only cleaned the part I was coating, so it's going to smell. Hopefully it didn't ruin the other parts though. I should have thought of that. But we'll see when it's done. Just got to let it cool off. This is the first coat. If we have to, we can clean that up and do it again. So when you think you've done it right,
I'll do it some more.
you probably haven't, because I thought I had the prep down nailed on these, and look at that. It's nice and shiny. Now look at all the impurities on there. Oh, that's horrible. So now I have to go and clean that up and get this all smoothed out, which makes it that much more work. And look at this one. It's speckled too. It's not as bad. This one I did a better job on. The one I did the best job on is right there, that pulley. So for the moment, I'm going to set these two aside because I have more prep work to do on them. I got to go clean it up, fix my mess, and then do it again. But I'm going to continue with this video on this part because it looks good. So let's get another coat on there. All right, now it is time for the copper. And let's try this again for the third time. Seems to be taking this time. Well, in places. Wonder why in spots it's not
sure.
Not making sense.
I'm sure there's somebody out there in in video land that'll tell us what we're doing wrong.
Because we're obviously doing something wrong.
Yeah, I've done that before. Well,
this is officially what's called a fail video.
yeah. I can honestly say that I've done that over chrome parts, but they were real chrome. I wonder if there's, with the powder coating, if it takes away the metal, the magnetism, or the continuity.
I don't know. Why don't we stick it in the oven and see what bakes?
Okay.
Time to check on the cookies.
There we go.
Yeah, I gotta check on the cookies here. Well, that's interesting. All right, well, let's pull it out and try something, just for the fun of it. Well, that didn't turn out very good at all.
No, it didn't.
I'll stick it on there and let's block it and see what happens. Well, let's let that set and see how that turns out. It's questionable, but like I said, we're probably doing it wrong. But we'll see. Okay, I started out with one coat of chrome, and then 4 coats of copper, and now I'm putting on a coat of clear. So let's bake these cookies and see what sort of crunchies we get back. Okay, so that was an unmitigated disaster. Well, not really, because you see, when you fail at something, you don't fail necessarily. You learn. Again, if you learned, you didn't really fail. At least that's the way I look at it. Well, I learned a lot. Let's take a look at the results. Okay, first of all, we had the timing cover. And if you look closely, you can see it looks like it has acne. I mean, it is just bubbled up everywhere. And I'm thinking, what did I do wrong? Well, there's a lot of things that could have been wrong. But let's see what we figured out, because here I have the dashboard. It's not as bad, but it has little bubbles all over the place. Where did these bubbles come from? Oh, how maddening. Now, in contrast, the pulley, at first glance, appears to have turned out beautifully, except it's red and not copper. But that's probably because I put it on too thick. It's not allowing enough of the chrome to shine through. But if you look closely, you can see that the clear coat has shattered like glass. See all those lines right there? All these lines right here? See all those? Those are all cracks in the clear coat. It built up around the inside here, and so it was too small to fit over the water pump. And when I tried to slide it on there, the whole clear coat just shattered. Like it was made of glass or something. So I'm not really sure what's going on there. But I did some research, and I looked up bubbling on cast aluminum and cast pot metal. And I learned something I didn't even know to ask. If I had asked the question before, then I would have found the answer, but I didn't know to ask the question. And what happens is, anytime you have a cast metal, whether it's cast aluminum, cast pot metal, or even cast iron, cast metals are not as pure as forged metals. And so there's little impurities inside the metal. So when you heat it up to 400 or 500 degrees, well, you're kind of doing a low-level smelting, and you're cleaning up the metal. And so some of those impurities cook off, and they off gas. Well, what happened is when my part was cold, I put the plating powder on there, and then I put it in the oven and turned it up to 400 degrees and cured it, and all that stuff inside the metal off-gassed. And it caused it to have bubbles in it. And I'm thinking, that is depressing. What's the cure? The cure, come to find out, is to pre-cook your metal. You put it in the oven for 45 minutes to an hour, depending on who you ask, at 50 degrees hotter than you're going to be cooking it with the powder coating. So if you're going to be cooking the powder coating at 400 degrees, you put the part in the oven for 45 minutes at 450 degrees. And what that does is it causes the metal to off-gas and get done with all that off-gassing, because then when you powder coat it after that, you'll get a nice smooth finish because it's already gassed off and you're not even as hot as you were, so it will go ahead and plate. It would have been nice to know that ahead of time, and every video I had watched on this and everything I'd read about it, they only gave passing mention of pre-cooking something. They never said why, they never said what it was for, and they didn't even really make much of a deal about it at all, so it didn't even occur to me to do it. So I didn't, and I paid. And so now I have to sandblast everything, get it right back down to the raw metal, and I need to off-gas it, and then we'll do the powder coating, and hopefully it'll turn out a little better. Now, how do I know I'm right on this? Because I cooked 3 different things. I prepped all 3 the same. I cooked them the same. I put the same powder on them at the same time, cooked them in the same oven. The only variable was the fact that the pulley, which did not have that problem, is not a cast pulley. It is a forged pulley, or I don't know what the kind of metal it is exactly. It's whatever Ford makes them out of, but they're not cast iron, and they're not cast aluminum, and they're not cast pot metal. They're not cast anything. So they're some kind of stamped metal, and that was pure enough it didn't off-gas and cause bubbling, where the 2 parts that had casting did bubble. Now, as far as why the clear coat got so brittle, I'm still working on that, and if you know why, let me know in the comments, because I don't, and I'm still researching that. So I am going to have to get with my hillbilly ways again, and we're going to have to do this again. I hope you like and subscribe to this video. Now, you know, I make mistakes, and I don't hide them, because people can learn from my mistakes just like I do. So many of these videos out there, people just only show the good. They don't show the screw-ups. They don't show the mistakes. They don't show the learning process. Well, I'm showing everything. This is, I mean, I cut out some boring parts, but boy, I tell you, I was really down about this for a couple of days, and then I started doing research and figured out what I did wrong, and all of a sudden I felt a whole lot better about it, because now I have a way to move forward. I got to know the science of it, which is really cool because I love science, and let's see if we can turn out a better product next time. Look forward to seeing you.